I'd like to just start with a quick review. When Robyn and Chris were doing the presentation for us a few weeks ago, it was on nonviolent or compassionate communication, which, as Marshall Rosenberg defined, it's a process of reframing how we express ourselves and hear others by focusing on observations, feelings, needs, and requests, rather than judgment, blame, and demands. And this is actually a countercultural and thing that needs a lot of practice. Bear with me as I change the slide. And the next portion of this was talking about the 4 distinctions that were originally said, and that's the 4 distinctions of NVC: observations and evaluations, feelings and thoughts, needs and strategies, requests and demands. If you saw or listened to, I should say, the podcast that Robyn had, then you would be remembering this particular, I thought, interesting story. It was about a boss who had been very, very frustrated because his employee had come in 3 times very late, at least 8 to 10 minutes, when he had always been prompt before. He was a bit bent out of shape and wanted to shout, "You're fired." However, what he did, as the story goes, is begin to evaluate his feelings. He was very angry. Doesn't this man appreciate all I'm doing for him? And isn't he respecting me, for example? Those were the thoughts and the feelings. And he realized that when he looks at those feelings a little bit more, he is also appreciative for the fact that this man had stayed late many a night, over an hour oftentimes. And he, going on to the needs aspect and the strategies, decided he really needs to find out what's going on with this man, that he's been late, which is kind of new for him. And he recalls that he wants to keep this man in the sense that he was a good employee. However, his kid was sick a couple of weeks ago. His wife was working, and there was some difficulty taking care of the kid. Maybe there's something else going on. There was also some car issues. So he started to strategize after processing his feelings and his needs. And he decided what he should do in responding to this man is say, "Hey, listen, if you're going to be late again, could you just call me and tell me about it?" And then went on to consider, maybe we should sit down and talk this through, that if this is going to happen again, maybe there's something else we can somehow adjust so that both you are satisfying your needs with what is going on in your life, and I'm not so frustrated. And so the plan was to try to sit down and talk with him, which is probably the most ideal way of processing the 4 distinctions. Now I'm going on to the next slide. Let's see. Now, with this, you see the negative ways that you'd be reacting perhaps to somebody who's telling you a story. And we hear a lot of stories through our lives in family, in our activism. Be careful. These are the things that aren't empathetic, and it's better to start with the empathetic first. The obstacles include advising, include educating, counter storytelling, correcting the story, shutting down and being dismissive, sympathizing without really having the full story, basically, consoling, one-upping. I've got a better story than you. You want to hear my story about the cop, the bad cop, and commiserating. But I'm going to stop for now because I see a hand up. Hey, Diane, what's up?
So I think that commiserating, consoling, and sympathizing are good.
If it's done correctly, yeah, I agree with you.
Okay.
Let me go to the next one because you'll understand it a little better, okay? This is a slide that Robyn put up during her last presentation. I've just borrowed it. Oh, share.
I think the point there is that commiserating and sympathizing are not the same as empathizing. They're not bad, but we'll hopefully find out why empathizing is distinctive and desired.
Well, maybe not for me. I think that's where the process of learning this better, it would come in, which is something I'll be getting to. What is empathy? This is another slide that Robyn provided. Responding with care and awareness. Maybe asking gentle questions. I'm starting at the lower left. Just reflecting back the content. You know, you said that you had to stay longer with your kid at school because there was some commotion at the school, for example. Encouraging, wonder, presence, being very present and attentive, I believe is meant there. Asking questions with a curiosity to just learn more about the situation without being too invasive about analyzing, validating, acknowledging their upset, whatever that feeling you might be picking up from them, and the space just to sit there with them, deep reflecting. I want to think more. I want to hear more, and attentive listening and asking for it. These are really beautiful concepts for sure. And remember, this is just a review. And then at the end, they gave their names to us. Hartstein was the woman who loved kids, and her approach to this whole problem is to teach kids before they learn all the bad stuff that we adults learn from others that have become so much part of our culture. And so she has toys and lots of basic books that she's writing right now. And oh dear, I lost my stop share screen thingy here now. Huh.
It isn't, you're not sharing. It already stopped.
Oh.
Now you have to start.
Okay, excuse me.
You may see the share button at the bottom of your screen in the toolbar, probably.
Yeah. It's not showing up. Hold on, there's something going. I did something wrong. Okay, let's go back to this. Can I just go out of it at this point?
Go out of what? You may have minimized the Zoom window. So you should find it at the very bottom, outside of the Zoom window at the bottom in your, your.
Well, that's where it was before, and now it disappeared. So sorry. I wonder if it went up on top. It did last time when I was with you, Ellen.
Could be you have a taskbar up on top. No matter what, Zoom should be in your taskbar.
Well, I want to get out of what I'm in right now, and I'm not sure how to get out of it without just clicking out.
Well, you can minimize that window.
It doesn't
minimize that.
button.
Try going to view, and you may find options there that work.
I'm looking at the bottom of the Zoom screen right now, sorry. And
you don't see us? Do you see us? Our images?
And only if I move this big box that has what's it basically shows the screen of us.
Well, that's, I mean, it should show our 4 pictures.
Okay, sure. Let me try this. Here it is. I finally got it. Got it. But it's not, there it is. Good. This is a little smaller. I apologize. I had a big pamphlet of this. Okay, this is Robyn. You agree? Thank you. Robyn Jacobs had wanted, she's the actual coach for older folks, like us, as opposed to the kids, which is more Chris's job, but they do work together. And she offers all sorts of coaching experiences. And I just wanted you to, realize this. And her basic statement is, I integrate well-being coaching, mindfulness, compassion, communication, nature, music, and movement to assist you in discovering new perspectives, managing stress and conflict, and cultivating joy and resilience. Okay. Oh, there's the little box now. And now I go back to share screen again. I think. Yes. Oh. It got minimized. Can you see anything besides us?
There's half of a document, and there
That's
you
the
go.
document. Okay,
Okay.
this next segment, for your patience, I really appreciate it. Okay, all of this material came originally from Marshall Rosenberg's Nonviolent Communication. I really want to know what you thought of the introduction Zoom and podcasts that I sent out and for your viewing before you came online here. This, we never really had a chance to do a review right after that hour and 15 minutes, the original viewing. And the podcast was an extra, just in case you wanted a short version of review. So what did you think? Who wants to go first?
I listened to about 5 minutes of the podcast because it took me a while to decide where I was going to listen to it on, and then got involved in something else. So, and I didn't watch the Zoom, but I want to.
Okay.
And plus the rest of this one when I have to leave in about 2 minutes.
Okay, well, thanks for your upfrontness. How about Diane and Darian, because you both attended the full hour and 15? at least. I don't know whether you had a chance to do the podcast.
Darian did not attend the session and has not had time to listen to the podcast. So I only have background knowledge about nonviolent communication.
Yeah, same here about, yeah, Marshall Rosenberg.
Oh, well then this isn't going to work. Because I was going to ask you what you liked, disliked. What did you think of the two coaches' style and approach? Would you want to work with them? And is NVC something you would be interested in learning more? There are different approaches we could use if you do, and want to fit it into your busy schedule. The one I focus on is below. It's to have a book group using the Rosenberg book and a nonviolent communication toolkit for facilitators, which includes interactive activities and awareness exercises based on 18 key concepts for the development of there's a typo there, of NVC skills. And it's by a different author, actually a threesome there. But since you didn't do any of the prep, and maybe that's why other people aren't on this as well, they didn't do the prep. Well, I'm not sure how to proceed. The session's done, as far as I'm concerned.
I thought that there were a number of interesting comments about nonviolent communications in the email threads. And I guess one aspect of NVC that I think may be hard for people to get is under what circumstances one should use it or would use it. And Eileen, you have paid more attention to this than any of us. Can you venture an answer to that?
Yes, I could. It may be very difficult to someone who's not open. And you'll find out. I know when I vigil on Mondays, the only person that got through this one woman who approached me, who resented the fact that I had a sign saying over 17,000 kids have been killed in Israel. No, in Gaza, and ceasefire. She resented the fact that I didn't consider the number of people who were killed on October 7th. And I thought about that after she said that. And since my sign was, was about kids, that I added the word Israel to my sign. However, to stick back to the subject, we were going back and forth and she was drilling me with questions. And I said, I don't know how many kids were killed in Israel. I do know because it was reported until the journalists were killed or else forbidden from reporting anymore, the numbers up to 17,000. But she kept on drilling. And then I had to leave because I was bringing someone home, and Andre Sheldon, who is well-versed in nonviolent communication, has been doing it for years, continued to speak with this woman. And another person came aboard who was even, kind of in between, and not a progressive or a far right leaner. And he spoke with these, well, actually the three had a conversation, which must have lasted 20 minutes because he shared this with me after, and said that, well, I'll give you one thing. There are extremists among the Israelis. And she did acknowledge that. So there was a breakthrough. But I have found for the ones that are yelling and screaming at the vigil we have in front of Jake Auchincloss's place, where the guy backed into me purposely, unreasonableness they can't hear this at all. So you would use it with family, use it with somebody who's on the fence, somebody who I believe has more of a neutral, middle of the road view as far as an activist go, but you have to use it with your family most of the time. And if to a point, I should say, if they're at all open to it. And family is important for me, so I plug that in there. Does that help, Darian?
Well, I'm fascinated that you say you have to use it with your family, and I wonder what you mean by that. But why don't
Family
you
important to me, and I'll listen to them no matter what.
please call on Ellen, who has to leave momentarily.
Yeah, I have to leave just when we get to the good stuff. Yeah, my family, at least my cousins, and who knows, oh, and certainly my Zionist grandson-in-law and his lovely bride, my granddaughter, who stands by her man no matter what she believes, so who knows. Yeah, if you don't want to be enemies, you gotta not be confrontational with your family unless you really don't want to have Thanksgiving dinner with them.
And sometimes you don't. And that's okay.
Well, my mother and one of my cousins, one of my really beloved cousins, really got into it over the Vietnam War, went back that far. And whatever wars we had after that till about the 1980s. And one time when I went out to visit, and we went to visit the cousins, they immediately started arguing vociferously about whatever the politics du jour was. And cousin Joel said, "Now, Ruth, don't make me mad." And as we were driving home, after she backed off, she said, why should he get, all uppity and say, "Don't make me mad"? What about me getting mad? And she didn't speak to him again, well, for as long as she lived, which is about another 10 years. And he came to her memorial service and said how sorely he had missed seeing us. So I don't know what we could have done, but it was a sad thing.
It is a sad thing when you don't connect with family. It really is.
So I got a bail. I will listen to the rest of your discussion. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Ellen, for your help. Yeah.
Bye.
And welcome, Tina. Tina, have you had a chance to review the original Zoom recording, which was part of what I sent out, or the
I was able to listen to the podcast. The Zoom recording required a passcode, which by the time I found it, I was running around. So I listened to the podcast, and which I liked.
Yeah, it was more succinct. And it covered those four, the observations, the feelings, the need, and the strategies or actions. What did you think of the Zoom and the podcast?
You're talking to me?
Yeah, because I've already asked Darian and Diane.
Okay. Just was clarifying. I liked the podcast. I thought that the podcast gave a little bit of information, like I didn't really know. I'm trying to fix my Zoom here. Hey, when it does that. I didn't really know one of the things that she said, that there's been a lot of work being done to expand on the original book, which I think is exciting. And I would like to find out what some of that is. And that's like the workshop that she went to. She described this workshop that she went to. And so, you know, I thought that that was good to know about. And then I was trying to listen to it in terms of what if someone didn't know anything about this. I thought that it wasn't necessarily that great of like a primer, but I like knowing about the games, and you know, that game itself is something that I thought that I could use with people that I would want to do some of this work with.
Are you talking about your actual work?
Yes, and also with my daughter. So both. Was trying to think of it in both situations, like really trying to get.
May I ask how old your daughter is?
My youngest is 16.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Okay, and now I just messed up something.
I have a question for Eileen and Tina, since you two are the only two here who are who have viewed the podcast and have some background and so forth. Do you think NVC would be useful for WILPF members? And if so, in what situations or contexts?
Hey, getting along with each other would be one. I believe that in our work, as I mentioned with that vigil, it would be useful. Not all vigils give you an opportunity to talk with people one-on-one, but if you're not looking too intimidating, like a large group with people yelling, like sometimes I'm near, that's impossible, but other quieter ones would, I think it would work.
Thank you. Any comment, Tina?
I think that it is, you know, I think it's a learning process, a learning tool that you get better at as you go. Like the more and more you do it. And so I think primarily it would be something that would be useful for everybody. And so in terms of offering it to our members, it would be nice to be able to offer it as a you know, something that they would like to learn for themselves. And then, you know, I think then if enough people begin to learn about it, just like if enough people really learn, you know, rational thinking skills, then it's what Resma Minicum talks about is, you know, then you're eventually changing the culture, right? And so it's more about changing the culture, and it could be changing the culture of WILPF, but I don't really see it as something like, okay, we're having a tiff here, let's bring in, you know, this tool and see if we can use it. Which in the book, they're able, you know, the author of the book and one who pulled this together, based on other work as well that was going on at the time, I think, and I mean, not to discredit him, it's his work. You know, I think he's able to go into a workshop and you know, do this kind of work and as a mediation, you know, basically. But I think most people aren't going to be able to have that level of skill. But as people who, you know, I mean, we hear it all the time, the way, at least in kind of spiritual writings that talk about peace, they always say, you know, peace begins in your home, and, you know, with individuals. And so, you know, from that perspective, and for people who are really, that's their mindset, you know, people in WILF want to change the world, but some of us are also very keen on having better relationships. And for those people who are, you know, who think that way, I think it would be, you know, an interesting thing to offer. So that's what I think.
Thank you.
Diane, I know that at some point you had some training, or at least that came out in the Zoom that we had. You had mentioned that you had studied a little bit of this, years ago. And you used it with some kids. Can you elaborate on some of that? And can it be applied, as you have learned, to WILF, internal WILF, as well as our work?
Yeah, so parent effectiveness training, PET, was a big thing. And it basically, it says how to react to your children, and what to do in certain situations. So, you know, I thought it was really good. So the type of questions to ask and how to react. So it's basically kind of like this, I feel. There's lots of similarities. So, you know, don't rush into judgment. Don't, um, you know, to listen and to be empathetic. This is kind of what it's all about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
think that they came out at the same
yeah,
era,
yeah,
right?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Like not, it was the 80s or something. I don't know. That's, I guess, I mean, I was reading that stuff in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Well, this book is copyrighted 2015. There's probably some,
he died in 2015.
No, it's
well,
that
that's
might be an update. Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
an
it's an
update.
update. So I know he's been around a while, and I just haven't seen the old books. This is, this is the third edition.
I loaned my copy out, so I can't look at the the copyright.
Yeah, the second edition was 2003, it looks like here.
Okay, for checking, yeah.
Yeah, he was born in 34, so I bet,
Yeah, if he were alive tonight, he'd be 89, I guess.
So who
Yeah.
else is in the membership committee that might have joined this meeting?
yeah, that's kind of why I joined, because of membership.
I've put it out there. Everybody has been busy, and the only person I really got a response from, because she's celebrating her birthday, is George.
Mm.
So there you have it. It's not well, as I said, it was a special. It wasn't a functional in the traditional way I was conducting some of the meetings before. Which brings up another point. For future membership meetings, what do you think would be helpful?
Shall I stop the recording at this point?
Sure. Thanks very much.